method of business would persist until the formation of the National Wrestling Alliance in 1948. The NWA as a central governing body, with its singular, undisputed world champion, would be absolute and undeniable. This control, combined with the expansion of the interstate highway system, and the inevitable popularity and availability of regional television, would usher in an era of wrestling that was defined by what would come to be known as the territory system. The territory system would dominate wrestling for nearly 4 decades. While the borders, authority, popularity, and obedience of individual NWA territories was in a near constant state of flux, to this day the impact and influence of these territories is still felt. Each territory had its own signature promoter and star. While it is impossible to cram these characteristics into a static, concrete map, we are damn sure going to try anyway.
So open up your eyes way before it gets too late. Now one man, there's no way you can hit the street lights running, don't give a damn. A simple explanation that you'll never find. Sinners never sacrifice, we never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. Never care for compromise, always threatening someone's life, and it feels like the end of the world.
All right, welcome to This Week in Pro Wrestling. Your host, Monty and Farrow, along with a special guest, Jimmy. Want to introduce our special guest?
To the right, we have, I call him Mr. ESO, but why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey everybody, it's Bruce from ESO Creative. Thanks guys for letting me come on with you.
You got it.
Well, Bruce is going to fill in for me starting next week until I return, which will be, so you'll get ESO and the Farrow for no less than a month, I would think, right? So it should be fun.
Unless I just, wheel you out of the hospital myself personally and bring you straight to the table.
There you go.
Which I may do. It all depends.
That's pretty funny. All right. So, Grand Slam last night, but I want to go over something that hit earlier today. CM Punk reportedly not expected to return to AEW. Contract buyout likely during a recent PW Torch audio show. Wade Keller recapped AWI Dynamite, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that, but then discusses that Punk is leaning towards buying out his own contract. You see, I think it's noteworthy, but they surprisingly excluded CM Punk's name as he talked. All right, whatever. But so here's the deal, guys. CM Punk comes back and quickly burns his bridges, and Tony Khan has realized that maybe he's not worth keeping around. You guys want to weigh in?
He can't stay out of trouble, can he? He's always going to have an issue wherever he goes, isn't he? Where does he go now?
I don't think he's going anywhere now.
He's just going to have an issue wherever he goes. I mean, historically had a problem with Vince. Historically had a problem with Paul, Triple H. Now he goes to AEW, the land of the free and the home of the armbar, and he's still not happy. Well, I don't know. Maybe go to New Japan where perhaps they don't understand anything you're saying and they can pay you and not listen to what you're saying. Because maybe it'll work out there.
I just don't think the guy could be happy in anything he does.
Seems to be. Please elaborate.
Well, let's look at his run at WWE, his supposed mixed martial arts career.
Alleged, right, Mike?
Alleged, yes.
Alleged mixed martial arts career.
Now you look at AEW and what's happened. I mean, he was going to be AEW's savior, wasn't he?
Yeah. And those lousy comic books that he did for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, this actually
it's
might
just not working.
This might be good for Tony Khan because Tony Khan was totally hung up on the guy.
Right.
Thought he was going to be the savior of AEW,
Right.
and maybe sometimes you roll in shit, and CM Punk has now given a certain level where AEW can right itself.
Here's an interesting question to the Mike Monty philosophical mindset when it comes to the business, the business end of it. Are you surprised that Tony Khan, if this story has any real gravity to it, weight to it, are you surprised that Tony Khan's deciding to pick the Young Bucks and the Kenny Omegas over the business model that is known as CM Punk, the guy that has given them over 1 million views several times?
I don't know.
And people can't stop talking about them because of him. You really think that's a good business decision to pick the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega over CM Punk?
I don't know if that's what he's doing, but the funny thing when I think about this is they're using the word buyout, like CM Punk is going to accept a buyout to close out the contract, right? I think it's probably come to a point where Tony realizes, hey, you've been injured. Hey, you have not moved the needle.
Right.
Hey,
Ultimately,
you're a problem now. Let's just cut
Call it a
bait
day.
here. And Punk probably feels the same way. Bruce, what do you think?
I've never been a CM Punk fan myself. From the beginning, I didn't think he was going to move the needle. Yeah, surprisingly, he did those first few first few weeks he was in there. But you know,
and in his career, he has.
What's moving the needle from 900,000 to 1 million?
Well, they were around 750.
That's fair. Yeah,
And he
you're right.
bumped them over to what was it, 1.4 when he debuted? So he almost doubled their audience, and then it didn't sustain. It didn't sustain.
he's not a long-term draw anymore.
Not at this age. But neither are a lot of the guys that they're featuring. Mike, move on with the card, and we'll get into that, too.
That's a good point. So last night, Arthur Ashe Stadium, right? We had
In our
Grand
backyard!
Slam. So don't get crazy about that because
cool,
last year in Arthur Ashe, they sold over 20,000 tickets.
Right.
From what I could see,
Right.
it didn't even look like half that building was full yesterday.
Very interesting.
In fact, they put MJF up top watching the match against Moxley and Bryan Danielson, whatever.
Okay.
And there was no one up there.
Right.
It was empty.
Right.
Well, I can give you some insight on the pay-per-view that they did over at the Civic Center a few months ago. I had several friends that went to it, and pretty much after the fifth row, there was nobody there.
Wow.
They couldn't even sell out the Civic Center for a pay-per-view.
Very interesting.
They were going to Marist College, giving
What's
away
the capacity of the Civic Center? Do you know offhand?
Yeah, at max 3,500.
Wow. They couldn't even do that?
It's a television program, guys.
Right.
This is, where everybody was saying WWE's a television program. No, this is a true television program. They're totally based on trying to draw that 1 million people to watch the show on a Wednesday night to a...
The proof is in the pudding. This was a pay-per-view type thing that would normally be on pay-per-view, but they're doing it on public television. Well, by the way, when they say free TV, is TV free?
No, not really.
I just wanted to throw that out there. What else you got, Mike?
Let's go through the card. Ring of Honor, Claudio against Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho beats Claudio to become the Ring of Honor champion, probably decorating the Wizard more, right? This guy's held every title.
Yep.
Was it a mistake taking it off Claudio and putting on Jericho, or is this a way to build Ring of Honor?
Yeah, it's a good thing for Ring of Honor. I mean, at the end of the day, am I pleased with the current state of Ring of Honor? Absolutely not. It's Tony Khan's side project, which annoys the shit out of me, considering how long and how far back I go with Ring of Honor. I can't say that it's a bad thing for Ring of Honor. The fact that Chris Jericho is holding their world title, how is that a bad thing? That is not a bad thing for the little train that once upon a time could. And you never know, maybe someday we'll get some momentum again in the Indies somewhat. Perhaps after they're separated from Tony Khan, because it just feels like such an afterthought to me. But it wasn't to those folks last night, and I know it wasn't to Chris Jericho. And congratulations, Y2J, you've done it again. I mean,
Bruce, your agreement?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something Ring of Honor needed. You need to have some established body there to help build it back to where it used to be.
Right.
Look at who's come through those.
Not that
those
Cesaro
ropes.
isn't established.
Again,
but you know where we're going.
again,
with
No,
this.
it's
Where it used to
another
be,
level.
I kind of laugh at that. It was nowhere. Just
this
because
is fair.
because everybody came
This is
from the
fair.
farm system who the WWE made, right?
But Ring of Honor was selling out across the country in the smaller arenas. They
And
really had a
let's
very
keep-
good following.
Yeah, let's keep it in check, though. This was never even ECW.
Aubrey Edwards
If you know
becomes
what I
the
mean.
first woman to referee a Ring of Honor World Championship match. Big deal.
I would guess to a lot of people, sure. To me, did she do her job? That's all I care about.
All right, so here's where you told me I'm going to get in trouble, guys. AEW World Championship changes hands as the Acclaimed beat Swerve in Our Glory. One of the stupidest names for a tag team to begin with.
Swerve in our glory.
I will just say this. Was the worst fucking tag team match I ever saw in my life. And I understand that the
They're melting
AEW
down out there.
fans wanted the Acclaim to win. The
Right.
Acclaim
Right.
couldn't get out of their own way. There had to be so many finishers there that they kept screwing up. They kept extending the match until they could rebound and fix it.
Right.
And I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I completely agree. Who cares? So I'm with you on that. Any thoughts on that? The exciting tag team match with Keith Lee. What do you think? Do you ever think Keith Lee would become a big time tag team guy?
I honestly never thought Keith Lee was going to make it out, leave the WWE. I was surprised when that happened.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. He never
Just to
liked
see
Keith
him.
Lee, so your prophecy continues to show that Keith Lee is just swimming in a. By the way, what's the name of their team? Swerve in Our Glory.
Yeah.
You know, they're wrestling Don't Pee in My Pool next week.
There you go. Unbelievable.
You should see that team. They're a pisser.
The All Atlantic Championship pack against Orange Cassidy, but probably the highlight of the night is MJF comes out and he gets into it with Yuta, right? And he eventually beats up or pushes down Tony Schiavone.
How dare he?
This I thought was a big miss because
Right.
this was a great opportunity, right? Remember back in the day, someone attacked Gordon Soley,
Oh, God.
Piper jumped in.
Don't you dare!
Someone would
touch
attack, Monsoon would jump in,
Yeah.
right? Because they're your partner,
Patterson
whether you
would
got
get
along
beat
with
up
them or
when
not.
he was the announcer.
But my point is, like, where is that whole group? Like, where's Taz? Does he come out and help Schiavone?
Right.
It just ended
Right.
flat.
Yeah. There should have been like an outrage response, right?
Why couldn't Taz
They
get
should-
into it with MJF?
That would have been cool. I'm with you.
I mean, again,
I
these
mean,
are
sell it. You just beat up Tony Schiavone. Sell it.
basic misses, in my opinion.
I agree.
And this is too much.
I agree on that.
Tony Khan's got to let other people book matches because he's fucking this up.
He's
He might have a good idea, but he doesn't know the follow through.
Right, the full execution of it.
Bruce?
I'd have to agree with that. Tony Khan, he and Vince are alike in that it was their playground, but Vince just had it at such a different level of control and ability. I mean, he was a visionary where Tony Khan
You can't
just
compare
seems,
Vince and Tony.
Right.
Yeah,
Vince
Tony's just throwing
grew
money
up
at
in the
things.
sport. Tony is a fan like the three of us.
Yeah.
We'd do the same. We'd make the same mistakes.
I'd
maybe.
be better than him.
I think most people would be.
I'd blow him
The
away.
women's intern title match: Tony Storm versus Athena versus Serena Deeb versus Britt Baker.
Horrible.
And another, I will tell you, I gauge a lot of stuff on my wife. So when my wife sits down and watches, she goes,
She ripped it.
"This is terrible."
She ripped it
She
apart.
goes, "They look
you
like
go.
they're so scared to get hurt that it's so choreographed. It's just bad."
Yeah, but then the doc did get hurt.
That was fake.
She
blood.
hurt herself.
The fake blood
Is she
again.
Is her teeth okay?
The fake blood again and rubbing it against her stomach.
There
It's
we
all.
go.
But I will say this.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Here she comes. Here comes my favorite.
Soraya.
It's not that. It sounds like something you catch, but I like Paige. Go ahead.
Comes out. Huge pop. Moment of the night.
Yeah, because it's her.
Absolutely.
And looks great.
Dude, I love her.
What do you think her role is going to be long term?
Can't wrestle.
She can't.
We keep on thinking she's on the roster now.
She can't.
If you're her, who's had these problems, would you trust your life in the hands of a Britt Baker?
No.
Apparently, they're going to.
I'm talking about her.
I think she's going to wrestle her. I think they're going to have a program. I really do.
You would trust her
They
in the
seem
hands
to be
of a
angling
Thunder
to-
Rosa?
No. I think she may test the waters with Britt Baker to see how it goes for her. That's how it feels for me. At least that's what they seem the direction they see. By the way, though, any form of fashion, and you know how we feel about the women's division in AEW, any form of fashion having Paige now can't be too bad, right?
This goes back, I don't know, Bruce, if you remember this when we were talking about, bringing people in.
Yeah.
And I said, if you're AEW, you have to bring in Sasha Banks.
Sasha. Right.
That's a needle mover.
Right.
Paige is a needle mover.
I love Paige.
Here's the problem.
She's one of
if
my
Paige
favorites.
can't wrestle, she's no longer a
Right.
needle mover.
Right. I agree.
And there lies the problem.
That
and
does
you
lie the
think if
problem.
the WWE, look, you might use Danielson as an example, but if WWE thought Paige could wrestle at all without being injured, do you think
Right.
they would have let her go?
No, I don't. I don't at all. I'm surprised, though, that they brought her back, all things considered, after that video was made public. So I'm surprised she returned at all anyway.
Khan is a desperate man.
Yeah, of course.
But I
he
gotta
is.
tell you, it was highlighted night for me. She looked great. She looked fantastic. The whole thing, again, you just keep bringing people in, and the old regime gets knocked out.
Right.
Tony Storm is out the door. Thunder Rosa is done now. If
Right.
if Paige can wrestle,
Right. He's
no need-
replacing any original ideas he might have had with WWE retreads.
Right.
We've been watching this for fucking months.
How many
Well-
people are on that roster now?
Well, way too many.
Way
That's
too
10
many.
pounds of shit in a 2-pound bag, if that's what you're getting at, Bruce.
all right.
That's what you're getting at.
We're almost
You'd
out of
be-
time.
You'd be right.
Almost out of time. Weigh in, guys. AEW Championship. John Moxley wins the title over Danielson. Mistake or not?
I don't think it's a mistake. I think long range. I think Moxley's going to be a draw for quite a few more years to come. He's still in that late 30s. He's got that presence. I honestly think he shouldn't have left the WWE.
Agreed.
Moxley and a draw. I don't know if they go together.
Bryan Danielson and a draw more.
I
than
agree.
Moxley. I think it was the right decision. Either way, I think it's the wrong decision because they're not growing their own Goldberg. They are relying on WWE late 30 to 40-something-year-old retreads. It does not mean that they're still not at the top of their game because that match, just personally, was great. I love the fact that they're friends in real life. I'm sure you know the dynamics of those two. They are friends in real life. I love the fact that they probably just sat down with each other before the match and said, I got an idea. I'm going to try to punch you in the face till you're dead. And you try to punch me in the face till I'm dead. What a great idea. You know what? I was thinking they basically just
I
went
know,
out
they
there
did some move
and
last night. where
murdered
they
each
were
other.
upside down. They were upside down. They were slapping
both-
each other. And everybody's like, I've never seen that before. And I'm like, why would you see that before? Upside down. That's how I'm going
Right.
to fight you, slapping each other. It's like,
Hey, you're down. Bink.
sometimes
Ow.
inventing something new.
It's not necessary.
Right.
Right.
Here's
Yeah.
a question for you.
Yeah. Good
before
match,
we
though.
go.
Good match.
I was on YouTube and I saw some guy was filming all the AEW guys coming into the arena.
Okay.
And like, hey, Moxley. And Moxley's smoking a cigarette. And I'm thinking to
He
myself,
always smokes cigarettes.
And I'm thinking to
Don't
myself-
start.
no, I'm thinking like, as an athlete,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, it
Okay.
still bothers me.
Well, you know what's going to bother you worse, and
What?
this always blew my mind too. Like
Go
the
ahead.
biggest athlete in the little Pharaoh's household growing up,
Right.
was Joe DiMaggio.
Right.
Well, Joe DiMaggio smoked and
Different
smoked
time.
and smoked.
Not
so
fair.
what does it matter what the air content is different today? I don't.
They
get it.
didn't know
do you
what
mean?
they
do
know
you
now.
mean?
They didn't know what they know now.
They didn't.
No.
That's true. Back in those days, 4 out of 5 doctors recommended Camel cigarettes.
Probably
this
right.
is true. Okay.
It's true.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah,
All right,
that'll
with
tell
that,
you
that's
if-
This Week in Wrestling. Enjoy Rampage. Enjoy SmackDown.
Joy Rampage. Who's going to watch that?
I don't know.
Hey.
All right, Bruce. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Bruce. You've been watching This Week in Wrestling, and between you and me, folks, smoke them if you got them. Later.